The Disappearance of Room 119, Episode 2. The Man Who Never Existed. When the FBI closed the Pine Hollow investigation in January 2007, the official statement read, "Subject unidentified. Case pending secondary analysis." Unofficially, Agent Eleanor Briggs was told to drop it. But she couldn't. Something about the man in room 119 didn't add up, not just his disappearance but his existence. Briggs sat alone in her DC office, the hum of fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. The FBI's database showed no Daniel Reese born in Montana in the last 50 years. No tax records, no school enrollment, no criminal history, not even a social security number. She checked deeper bank networks, DMV databases, even the Montana birth index. Nothing. Then she found something strange. There was a Daniel Reese, but he died in 1968. Age 9. Briggs requested access to old census microfilms, data not yet digitized. After 3 days of searching, she found a small anomaly. A scanned birth certificate, handwritten, signed by a Dr. Harold T. Keller, in Billings, Montana. The ink on the document looked wrong. Under UV light, it reflected a polymer sheen, the kind used in modern security printing, not 1960s ink. Meaning someone had inserted it into the archives decades later. Whoever Daniel Reese was, someone had gone to extreme lengths to retroactively create him. A week later, a tip came in from a former bank manager in Spokane, Washington. He claimed a man matching Daniel Reese's description had opened a small business account 6 months before the disappearance. The name on the account, R. Monroe Industries. Monroe. The same surname as the architect who built the Pine Hollow Inn. Briggs flew out to Spokane. The bank records were wiped, digital and paper. But the teller who handled the account remembered one detail. He wore gloves. Thin leather ones. Said he was a contractor. Real polite. Didn't look like a criminal. When Briggs showed her the motel footage still, the teller nodded. That's him. Briggs tracked down Jake Monroe, the architect's son. Again. This time, he wasn't cooperative. "I told you everything I know. Did you?" Briggs pressed. "Because your father's blueprints don't match the motel layout. There's a walled-off section behind room 119. A sealed chamber." Jake looked at her for a long time, his jaw tightening. Then he said quietly, "Some people shouldn't be found." Through a contact at the Department of Energy, Briggs managed to obtain partial access to that Virginia data facility, the one that accessed the motel feed. The files were coded under a project name, Project Veil. It dated back to 1981. Its description, Human Behavioral Continuity Study, Field Applications. In plain English, it meant testing identity persistence after cognitive reconstruction. Briggs couldn't believe it. The man in room 119 wasn't running from the government. He might have belonged to it. Then came a break. A trucker, Mark DeLuca, claimed he'd seen a man matching Reese's description hitchhiking near Bozeman, 3 days after the motel incident. He even gave him a ride for 10 miles. He didn't talk much, said he was heading east. When I asked where from, he said, "Nowhere." Briggs asked if he'd noticed anything else. "Yeah," DeLuca said. He had this weird scar under his hairline, like a surgical line. Looked fresh. Medical reports from the autopsy of the real Daniel Reese, the boy from 1968, mentioned the same scar. Briggs returned to FBI HQ with one goal: analyze the tape found behind the motel wall. Audio experts enhanced it using spectral mapping, removing static frequencies. What they found underneath wasn't just noise. It was data. Hidden in the static was binary code, structured, repeating every 16 frames. When decrypted, it formed text. Test subject 34A. Reese. Daniel. Reconstructed entity. Status. Active. Location reset. Successful. Briggs didn't sleep that night. If what she read was true, the man in room 119 wasn't born, wasn't missing, he was manufactured. A cognitive replica of a child who died in 1968, reconstructed through classified memory data collection. In other words, a man who never existed, built from the mind of someone who once did. When Briggs tried to reopen the case, her access was revoked within hours. Her badge stopped scanning at the bureau entrance. An unmarked envelope arrived at her apartment that night. Inside was her resignation letter already signed, and a single note: "Stop chasing ghosts." But the next morning, a new email appeared in her inbox. No sender, no subject. Just a single attachment. A photo. A man walking through the snow. Gray coat. Brown briefcase. Timestamp: February 12, 2007, Glacier National Park, Montana. The caption read, "Subject 34A. Relocation confirmed."